I'm going to introduce our next speaker now. He's the co-founder of Cognito, India's leading sustainability advisory, which specializes in seeding and cascading sustainability in large conglomerates like Tata, Aditya Birla, Mahindra, and ITC. With his first assignment as early as 2005, Harsh was an early advocate of sustainability among corporates and has closely witnessed its journey from its rise in mainstream adoption to greenwashing, pushbacks, and shifting responsibilities of this phenomenon. Let's all welcome Harsh Purohit. Over to you.
Thank you. So this is what I call actual DNI being demonstrated. I think Tony wanted to make sure that there was a diverse and an inclusive panel, so I'm included amongst all these erudite speakers. So please excuse me and please bear with me. I'm going to take you on a little journey which is going to kind of dive deep down into the ground and then going to zigzag around a little more. Let's start first off. So shatter some myths, look at some of the mishaps that have happened, and then look at what we all should know about sustainability. So first question, I think a bit of interaction with all of you all. Which one do you think is more sustainable? I see. Can you just tell me, the tote bag or the plastic bag?
If the bag is GM cotton, then it's not sustainable.
Okay. If it's GM cotton, it's not sustainable. Okay. Anybody else with any different views?
Need to assess the entire life cycle of.
Yeah. Are you Aditi's daughter?
Yes. So very
Yeah. No, I just thought someone's talking about life cycle analysis, so that was good. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Anybody?
Yeah, of course, I already said that it's about what plastics we use.
Okay.
Then some plastics actually allow for post-use recycling and repurposing. And you actually can extend the life cycle to quite an extent for multiple uses and apply it to certain kind of post-use applications. It can actually last you for many years.
So are you looking at longevity as sustainable?
Yeah, longevity would certainly replace something else which would have been consumed. So repurposing certainly helps. Yeah.
Okay, so true there. Compared to a plastic, single-use plastic bag, you have to use the tote bag 7,100 times till it becomes equivalent to that one plastic bag. And if it is, as you said, organic cotton, then you have to use this tote bag 20,000 times. Here are the details. I don't know if you can read them. I'll read it for you. A 2018 Danish Environmental Protection Agency report suggested that the cotton bag should be used at least 7,100 times to offset its environmental impact when compared to a classic supermarket plastic bag that's reused once as a trash bag and then incinerated. And if that tote bag is made out of organic cotton, then it's 20,000 times. Now imagine if you just use that plastic bag 3 times. Then that 7,000 would become 21,000 and the 20,000 would become 60,000. Right? And we are not even talking about what would happen to the produce, like suppose you were carrying flour or salt in it, and if it was a tote bag vis-a-vis if it was a plastic bag. Right? So first level, okay. Okay, next question. As Mr. Taneja rightly pointed out, plastic isn't the problem, its disposal is. Right? So we sometimes confuse what is the core problem, right? And we throw out the baby with the bathwater. So plastic is sustainable way more than cotton. Like people said, it uses a lot of water. Not only water, it uses a lot of land. Over and above land, it also uses pesticides, right? It uses transportation. So there's a huge, as she rightly said, it's the whole life cycle that one needs to look at. And not only that product for that period of time. So just because we see a lot of plastic bags strewn around, which is a disposal problem, and it is because, like Mr. Taneja again rightly said, it's not, the society is not responsible, and therefore we are putting garbage anywhere and everywhere. That is where the issue comes from. Second point, now I'm sure you know the drift, right? which one is more sustainable? Go ahead.
Same problem, the batteries are disposed of in environmental situation where we are not taking care of. And EV is more unsustainable compared to the petrol one.
Okay, so battery disposal, one issue. Yeah.
Is it the output produced by EVs not optimal?
So output, okay. In what terms would you?
The power that it is consuming for the condensed energy that it's supposed to power the vehicle
Okay.
is not optimized because technology is not reached at speed source.
Okay.
It's not as
But that's a bit of a debatable question because the joule of energy per kilometer traveled is yeah.
Energy which has been taken to produce that electricity. So the source from where the electricity is.
Yep. So yes, I'll just for a bit of time and that just move ahead a little. The core idea is there are 4 things that one needs to consider when one considers the life cycle. First and foremost, the battery production, right? So lithium, somebody spoke about it and where you are getting it from and human rights and what you are mining out. Plus the battery disposal, as you rightly said. Plus coal-generated electricity, right? And night charging, right? You're not using your solar to charge your EV because that means you'll have to do it in the day. And you're generally charging it only in the night. So this is still, but the jury's out. Like you said, it depends on, where it's made. So core idea, moral of the story, right? Sustainability is not simple. It's pretty a complex thing. If you look at a framework which measures how sustainable you are, right? Be it a GRI kind of a framework, it has like 146 parameters on which you measure if you are sustainable or not, right? So 146 raised to n is the kind of permutation combination that you're going to see. So what are the concepts? LCA is what life cycle analysis, as she rightly said. A couple of more acronyms to just make life a little sound more complex than it is because acronyms take a while to. So EPR is extended producer responsibility. So the battery, if it's produced, do you want to go and give it back to the producer? Right? And then it is the responsibility of the producer. This is already happening in tires, as I'm sure many of you may know, that you cannot produce a new tire till you have recycled an old tire. Right? So we work with Bridgestone, we know how they need to, there's a whole now system being set up by them, which is called reverse logistics, where you are going to take back tires and for the number of tires that you actually only recycle are the new ones you can produce. So similar stuff happens for batteries in very developed countries, where the person who's manufacturing it has to make sure that what will be the disposal. Very interesting things happened on this when this was introduced in Europe with Volvo. They created cars wherein when the car, instead of going to the landfill and being crushed, it would come back and they would be able to use parts from it for a new car. And that is called DFD, designed for disassembly. When it comes back, you disassemble it. Like you can take the seat out, you refurbish the seat and it goes back again. One of the classic business model in this was done by HP. There was someone here from HP, right? Yeah, the core idea was they had toner cartridges. These toner cartridges, they realized were being refilled by local people and they were losing a lot of business on it, right? First and foremost, they said is you can FedEx it back to us because disposal of an electronic item is something that you're responsible for. You cannot just throw it away, right? So they told them that you can FedEx it to us at no cost. Then what they said is they would refill it and give you the same amount of guarantee on it and sell it again to you. So earlier they were telling their engineers, make it out of plastic, make it such that it lasts only one cycle and nobody can refill it. All of a sudden the whole design brief changed and they said now make it out of metal that it can last 3 to 4 cycles because it's going to come back to us. They're going to sell it at the same price as new. Right? Now they are refilling it and giving you the warranty. So that's called design for disassembly and reverse logistics. And this is not where I missed the M of Paytm. Right? It's pay as you throw. So your disposal is charged. Today in India, we are not charged for our disposal. And that is why you see irresponsible garbage all over. right? If you were charged for disposal, what you would buy is also according to that. So we all exchange value through money, right? And therefore money becomes a good way to motivate. That's how the whole economics, as they know, that's how the whole capitalism works, and money is where you're exchanging value. So if you were to charge people a value for their disposal, because today our taxes are what are paying for it, right? It's the municipality which is doing the disposal. And the money comes from our taxes. Now, depends on if I am producing more trash. So I was in Tono about 3 years. Tono is a small little town in Japan. And being what we are when we travel, I had a lot of cans from which I was having all my beverages. And at the end of it, my host said, there is no way I can be seen going and disposing this amount of cans. It would just be in a societal way shameful to see that so many cans have come out of my place. So I actually packed them in my bag, took them to Tokyo, and then disposed them off in Tokyo, where nobody would kind of identify us, because Tono is a very small town. Right? So that is the kind of thought process that we need if you're going to get into sustainable living. Okay. Sustainability. So what is sustainability? Sustainability of what? Sustainability of the planet, sustainability of primates, sustainability of profits. What are we talking about? So triple bottom line is sustainability of what? It's sustainability of business. What is the triple bottom line of sustainability of planets?
People, planet, and profit.
Yeah. So in the people, planet, and profit, are you looking at the sustainability of the planet? Very interesting. In our planetary systems, how many planets? Okay. How many planets warmer than us? Does Mars have a problem being warmer than us? It's surviving, right? It goes around the sun merrily. If the Earth became warmer, do you think the Earth would have a problem? No, right? How many planets without trees? Almost all of them, right? Do they have a problem? Earth may not have a problem with deforestation. How many may not have water? Earth will not have a problem without water. So are we really looking at sustainability of the planet? Exactly. We are selfish people. We are a selfish species. We are looking at our sustainability. We are not looking at the sustainability of the planet. Remember one thing, some of the biggest things, be it agriculture, which ensures that all of us can have food to eat, is a human intervention with the highest amount of GHG on it. We are the ones who are changing the course of water from irrigation. We talk about organic, let it grow, but we are not going out foraging for our food. Agriculture and irrigation are some of the largest human interventions which are causing climate change. But because they are required for food and because they are required for us to survive, we do not look at them as detrimental. We then only call out GM as detrimental. But the whole of agriculture, if you look at it, it's a man-made phenomena. Right? So what is sustainability is something that we should dwell on, and whose sustainability are we talking about, right? So this is what sustainability looks like, basically. It's an elephant with the blind man, you know that, right? That story I don't need to tell anybody. It's different thing for different people. So let's look at, we had an economist here. For economists, it's called internalizing the externalities. In the panel discussion, you can ask the economist, or else I will go deep into it. But right, externalities are like this, that if you are not paying for the disposal of your garbage, if it is internalized into the cost, then you would pay for it. So that's what it is called, internalization of the externalities. That's for the economists. What do the businessmen call it? Some of them say it's like taxes, I have to live with it. Right? There was some discussion on policy and how policy is driving it, and therefore there are frameworks and the BRSR and the SEBI and all of that. So it's like taxes, I have to live with it. I would be happier without them. And some of them think of it as a gold mine. So if I'm an EV manufacturer, I think of it as a gold mine. Right? So there are two sides for the businessman. Optimists think of it as a new world order. Pessimists think of it as a passing fad. Many such things came. What happened to the ozone hole? Can somebody tell me? There was this whole thing about, right? The hole in the ozone layer disappeared. All of a sudden, it's come to now GHG. So things come and go. So pessimists say, there is one more fad. You need something to be woke about. You will be woke and it will pass. Then come the skeptics. Republicans. It's a bloody hoax. There is no climate change happening. Who told you? Right? Then you come to the t-shirt designers. This is my new blockbuster design. There's something there on that tote bag. Like my blockbuster design I'll have. Right? So everybody will buy it. There's a huge way for the youth to show that I care. Right? So then you have the developing nations who say it's a conspiracy theory by the developed nations. We heard that, right? So, and then finally, it's my ladder to climb up the societal hierarchy, right? So most of the foundations work with this, right? So everybody sees it differently. Which part of the elephant you are holding is what you see, correct? So it's different things to different people, right? And that's a big branding mishap. As you rightly said, right? The Bertland, they were the guy. There was no communication person who defined sustainability. If the communication people would have defined it, it would have been way more precise. Environmentalists defined it. For them, they understood it. They are okay with a chaos theory in their head. In science, there are multiple possibilities. They defined it. So today, we don't know whose sustainability we are talking about. Planet, primates, or profit. Right? We do not know what is sustainability. I view it from my perspective. Somebody else views it from their perspective, and they say, be sustainable. I'll say, I'll be sustainable if I keep on making $1 million every year. That's my way to be sustainable. Then I can put on the aircon. Who cares? I can build a 20-story house, and if the sea level rises, I don't care. Right? So it depends on the idea being that it was the branding mishaps. Similar branding mishaps have happened on other two things. Somebody says change management. Is change positive, negative? How do you view change? When somebody asks you change, I'm change management, or I bring change. Positive, right? So most people think of change as positive, right? So climate change? Why? Most people thought of it as good. If I was Russia and if people told me it's going to become warmer, I'm happier. Right? It's very relative, right? I have to burn lesser oil to keep my houses warm. So change was again a branding, climate change was a branding mishap. It should have been said climate crazy, where climate becomes unpredictable. When climate becomes unpredictable, you do not know what to sow, you do not know how your agriculture will happen, what will happen to your crop, and therefore climate crazy is the terminology which should have been. Right? Same issue with global warming, right? Like I said, Russia would be very happy, any cold country would be very happy with warming, no? So again, an issue. Right? So the idea was that, and people use global warming and climate change interchangeably, including sustainability professionals. And I'm talking about pro-sustainability professionals. Right? They use it very interchangeably, but it's not. The semantics matter. Right? So anyway, back to what is sustainability. Right? What are the most used slogans that we hear? Save Mother Earth, there is no planet B. Earth Day every day. I just said a little about how it is not about saving the planet, right? I'm going to have a more erudite person with better language than me explain to you in a 1-minute video clip why sustainability is not about saving the planet. I hope the video works.
The people are fucked. The people are fucked. Compared to the people, the planet is doing great. The planet has been here for 4.5 billion years, all right? 4.5 billion. We've been here, what, 100,000? Maybe. 200,000? Maybe. And we've only been engaged in heavy industry for a little over 200 years. 200 years versus 4.5 billion. And we have the conceit to think that somehow we're a threat, that somehow we're going to put in jeopardy this beautiful little blue-green ball that's just floating around the sun. The planet has been through a lot worse than us for a long time. into earthquakes, volcanoes, plate tectonics, continental drift, solar flares, sunspots, magnetic storms, the magnetic reversal of the poles, bombardments for hundreds of thousands of years by comets and asteroids and meteors, sandstorms, erosion of all kinds, cosmic radiation, worldwide fires, worldwide floods, recurring ice ages, and we think some aluminum cans and some plastic bags are going to make a difference? Planet isn't going anywhere. We are. We're going away. We're going away. Pack your shit, folks. We're going away.
Yeah, so where did this come from, this problem? Because I think Homo sapiens are not Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens are Homo lupus. And what does lupus stand for? For excessive pride or self-confidence, arrogance, conceit, conceitedness, haughtiness, pride, vanity, self-importance. We are the guys who put ourselves on the top of the chain. We think we are the ones who are impacting everything. We are just bloody puppets for all we know. And if we think we are the ones who are doing all of this, who killed the dinosaurs? How did the dinosaurs go extinct? Did the humans do it? No, right? So if something as big and as powerful as the dinosaurs could go away without humans being there, there's a lot that's going to go away without us doing anything about it. Also, if as we speak, species are going extinct, we too are a species. We too are going to go extinct. And might be that's good for the planet Earth. Think about it. Might be we are the one who's the disease. Right? So maybe planet Earth is conspiring right now, and might be we and the planet Earth are working at cross purposes. I do say it with a bit of humor, but I want you to understand the gravitas of it. All species that have lived are going to die, and we too are a species. So where is this whole thing going about sustainability? And therefore I want to make sure all of sustainability comes from only one thing. We as the human species want to extend our life on planet Earth. That's the core. Right? So first and foremost, we need to understand that all of sustainability is a selfish motive by our species to make sure that we can live as long as possible. Okay, now we come to, then what is sustainability? Right? God only knows. And like Mr. Taneja said, I have a global south model for it, which we can put through and which the dispensation will agree. Current dispensation will agree with it. Let me show you. Okay? This is core sustainability from Indian wisdom. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Brahma is the creator. Vishnu is the sustainer. Oh, he's telling me 5 minutes left. It's 5 minutes gone, I think. I'm sorry. I'm going to go way over time. Right? So, I don't know what time he's seeing. I think he's seeing post the Q&A that happened. Are you seeing 12:30? What are you seeing? Huh? When I start, okay, I don't know then when I started, but might be the interaction is, anyway, it's gonna go, so anybody who has any other appointments, feel free to leave. I won't take any offense, because eventually in the long run, as Lord Kane said, exactly, we are all dead, right? So we're okay, right? So coming back to this, creation, Brahma the creator, Vishnu the sustainer, and Shiva the destroyer. Who do they have as their consorts with them? If you want to create, what do you need? You have Saraswati, so that's knowledge. So to create, you need knowledge. To sustain, you need Lakshmi, so you need wealth to sustain. So therefore, make sure that in the triple bottom line, the first bottom line is financial. And to destroy, you need good intentions to know what to destroy. If this cycle and this circular phenomena happens, we will be sustainable. And in this phenomena, remember, there is destruction. So we should not look at destruction as negative all the time. So it's creation, sustenance, and destruction. And if that cycle goes on, that's what the earth and life is about, is what on which our whole core mythology or our gods are based on. So that's one more thing to leave with you. And this was the most spouted definition by Bertrand, which was spoken of, that development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of, this is for sustainable development. So it's not for sustainability of the planet, it's not for sustainability of the people, it's not for sustainability of the profits, it's for sustainable development, which basically saying that, right, without compromising the needs of the future generation. I kind of say it a little differently, without compromising the future generations themselves. Right? As you know, throughout Europe, across, I will also put one data chart later of how you will see that less and less primates are being produced by people now because of issues. And the more you get educated, the more you get developed, the lesser the number of progeny you have, because simple logic, any species which has a lesser chance of survival or a higher rate of mortality will produce more. And as the mortality rate goes down, the number being produced also goes down, right? So, okay. Development is looked at as what? Cities. When you look at development, you look at cities as a key marker of development, right? Cities are flawed. One more brain dropping something to think about. Why do I say this? I think fundamentally they are flawed because generally, when we were more sustainable, we used to go where the resources are. We would settlement near to the riverbed, we would go where the water is, we would do things. Once that place, we have actually taken away all the resources, we would move. It's only in modern cities that we stay there and we pump all the resources to us. So that area can never get rejuvenated. Right? If you move, so is that our fixation of being fixed at a place making us unsustainable? Homework. Think over it. Right? Should we move? Should we have that gypsies? Right? They move, right? They don't stay at one place. You go there, you use the resources, you move, allowing the land to rejuvenate. What happened during COVID? We've seen so much of rejuvenation that happened during COVID. Right? We all thought that, oh, we are at this dead end and nothing is going to, and all of a sudden during those times when human activity was at its lowest ebb, we realized that nature came back. So that's the idea here. But it's not only the resource part, but it's also functionally flawed. Like someone talked about Delhi and making roads wider and still they get congested and all. So here are just a few things for urban planners to look at, right? Cities, if city was a product, the manufacturer of the city would have been bankrupt and the designer would have been fired. Show me one city which can scale to its demand. One. Biggest problem. Can you imagine a client having a product which cannot scale to demand? Okay, air conditions right now in this last month, I know. Right? But can you get one which cannot? Idea is designers or urban planners have never thought of scale. And that's another issue I want to leave with all designers. You have never thought of scale. One car, great. Millions of cars, problem. One phone, fabulous. Millions of phones, problem. 1 hour on the social media, great. Millions of hours on social media. Scale is something that designers, we are myopic. We have not been able to think of scale, and most unsustainable issues arise out of not thinking of scale. Okay? So this obviously ecologically dysfunctional, we all know about it. I'm not going to go into depth of it. So the next parameter of development is business. Right? First is urbanization and cities. Second is business. How does, okay. So for want of time, this is basically showing you all the destruction that industrialization has done. So I'm not going to play the video. I'm going to move on. Right? For resources is what was spoken about. Right? So for business to exist, now I'm going to a very 101 on business. Fundamental issues on business. Any business requires only 3 resources: to basically function. First resource, financial. Second resource, natural, right, which comes from the environment. And the final resource, human resource. So there are three resources you require, and when you measure and manage these three resources, what is the sustainability triple bottom line? Like you rightly said, right? So in this, there are three things: environmental, social, and financial. Most people think of sustainability as environmental, so I just wanted to burst that myth and say that sustainability is not only environment. If it was only environment, you wouldn't do agriculture and right, irrigation would not happen. So that's the first part. Now in this three, what do you measure and manage? So as designers, then you would know better what to do. So let's go ahead on this. Environment, there are three inputs and three outputs, right? I'm now sharing secret sauce of cognitive with all of you all, but okay. Three inputs and three outputs. What are the three inputs in environment that you get? First and foremost, as we had the opening speaker, and that energy. What is the output on the other side? Emissions. So energy, emissions. Water, effluent. Raw material, waste. 6 things are all that you manage in environment. Any business, anyway, who wants to be: energy, emission, water, effluent, raw material, wastage. Across the whole life system impact. Not only during the... So, might be this garment, when I manufacture it, what is the amount of water? How much water is used to actually wash it? How many times? I wear denim and I don't wash it for 6 months. Is it better than wearing a linen trouser? Am I going to iron my linen trousers? I don't know if you all know right now. It's called WAH. There has been a very recent initiative called WAH, WAH, by the CISR or one of these environment agencies, which says wrinkles achhe hai. So on Mondays you wear clothes which are not ironed to save, right? Now I have another view on this, where instead of what is called materiality in sustainability, is that instead of going where the biggest impact is, you shift the responsibility to individual citizens and make them feel that we are the ones who are guilty of making the consumption. What would be the GHG emission of war? Anybody ever thought of that? What would be Ukraine's GHG currently emissions because of the war? What would be the emissions at the Palestine-Israel war? So the Ukraine war, it is supposedly said that equivalent in their 18 months was equivalent to 6 European countries. Right? So you can just work out that all of a sudden here you are trying to take a tote bag and a plastic bag and we are thinking of that, and there. So look at the bigger picture and see where the materiality lies. So that is on environment. Then you come to social. Social is basically nothing but the thing for human resource. And there are 2 kinds of human resource that you actually look at. One is within the company and the second is outside of the company. Within the company is your employees. So it becomes HR, as you were told, right? Human resource management. So you give them incentives, training, health, safety, all of that. And then you move to the outside where you take care of the community, because the community has to give you societal license to operate. Otherwise there will be a strike. Kerala and Coke. Maruti and Manesar. I don't know how many of you all know the thought process, but Maruti and Manesar, Kerala and Coke, right? So you could be locked up if you're not taking care of society. So that's one. Customers may not buy from you. That's outside of your thing again. And the last one outside of you is shareholders. They're inside, outside. They're the ones who provide you financial capital, right? So that's social. Nothing great to, and in financial, you're looking at all that you were reporting in your annual report, plus 1. What is that plus 1? Not some Google thought process. There's plus 1 is wealth distributed. Your sustainability depends on, have you heard Reliance say the largest shareholder family? More people will get affected by your going down. Too big to fail. The more wealth, so how much taxes are you paying? How many vendors are you paying? What are the employee numbers that you have? If you are large enough, you will be more sustainable. Because you are distributing wealth. But if you are exploiting it, then you are more susceptible to be unsustainable and be closed down. So that's the idea. That's total. And then you come to the, okay, in this, did you see that dot come up? Okay, what does that mean? That it is between social and environmental, right? That means it's feasible to do it. It's feasible. Human resources are there, environmental resources are there, it's feasible. When it's environmental and financial, it's viable. Viable means you will make some money on it. It's feasible, it's viable, and when it's social and financial, it's equitable. All of these still not sustainable. It's only when it's all the three come together does it become sustainable. So it's feasible, it's viable, and it's equitable, then it remains sustainable. So this is all of sustainability that you need to know and understand, right? Cool. Governance, two things on governance. Policies is what you need to look at. So ESG, the G of that. In policies, what are your values and how will you operationalize them? And then you go to other parameters such as board composition, independence, management transparency, ownership, shareholders' rights, financial fairness, right? Compliance with the rule of law, ethics and integrity. All of these are nothing but guardrails to ensure that those policies are followed in letter and spirit. You can have a policy, but how do you make sure they're going to get followed in letter and spirit? So you create these guardrails which will allow you to do that, right? So I'm going to wait for that too.
How much time will it take so that you can take consent?
You tell me. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. Okay, let's move ahead then.
Informed consent.
5, 10 minutes more. 10 minutes more. Yeah. Okay, so okay. So therefore, the fundament came from why did businesses shift from annual reports to sustainability reports? Okay, you want to go into the business of fisheries. What do you need? A trawler. So you can go and trawl and get, right? Today, what is in short supply? Trawlers or fishes? Fishes. So till the money was in short supply, trawlers is what used to measure and manage. The minute fishes became in short supply, you have to now measure and manage the fishes. Same logic for timber and chainsaws. Now you can get as many chainsaws as you want, capital is available, equipment is available, timber is not available. So therefore you are now measuring and managing timber. Simple. Okay. Why is there a resource shortage? We are the ones to blame. And today I don't speak as the sustainability professional, I'm speaking as a design professional. We are the ones to blame. Why are we the ones to blame? What did designers do? All designers are paid to enhance consumption, right? For all the wokeness that we think about, we are nothing but a simple tool in the hands of capitalism. We all think of it as that we are super woke, we are this, we are rebel, we are against the system. We are nothing but a part of the bloody system. Right? We are absolutely part of the system. We are all paid. What are you paid for? Make it look good so that more people will buy it. Make it look good so that more people will use it. Right? When I was an engineer, fortunately, I'm a mechanical engineer. When I used to go to college, we were taught something which was called planned obsolescence. Planned. That means after X amount of times you've used it, that product should fail. It should not make you feel disappointed. You will still go and buy the same brand again, but it should fail. It was told at that time when we were in college that the Sonys of the world had 5 models ahead ready with them and they were not launching them. They would launch them one after the other because then you would get the craving. It's Apple iPhone, right? 13, 14, 15, you would buy and right? You want to have that brand value, narcissism, whatever you call it, right? But that was the idea. So planned obsolescence was there, so we are paid to enhance consumption. And rarely do we think of scale, something we just spoke of it, right? So this is the error that most designers have done. So it's our job to now fix it also, right? The one who makes the mess, will fix it. There's good news and bad news there. Let's start with the good news, always. Okay? So we'll be paid to, right? Okay? So, okay, let's see. The volume gone. Okay, anyway, for want of time, we'll go. Basically, it's a very, right? It's a pretty large mess. The idea is that, okay? And new products, new principles, new opportunities. Right? So as a designer, it's a great time to be there. Right? You have to rethink almost everything. So as William McDonald says, you have to rethink design itself, right? So I'm gonna skip this because I can't be between you and lunch, so food for thought, right? So actual food wins over food for thought. So, okay, coming to the bad news, design just got difficult, right? 146 parameters in the GRI framework, and then when you add multiple frameworks. So as a designer, you got to take care of all of that, otherwise the business will become unsustainable. Because it will become unsustainable, nobody's going to pay the designer, okay? Target audience has changed. Interesting stuff, very interesting stuff. What is the target audience, right? This is now the target audience, correct? Okay. So new customer categories, all people in design and marketing, they would like to take notes, so go ahead. First, green influencers, right? People who are going to talk to you about green and say this is what you should be having, organic, lush, right? So make sure that lush is the product you use, and right. So all of those, your organic, non-chemical, right? Okay. Second, more interesting it becomes with Bobos. Bobo stands for the bourgeois bohemians. The bourgeois bohemians are the ones who have the 60s counterculture and the 90s materialism. We think I'll put a thing to it. Bangalore, gentleman with a Thar, loves nature, right? Goes out every weekend, right up the hills in a SUV, takes 1 million pictures, puts them on, pixel and its footprint, but I love nature, okay? And I'll go out and be in nature at every time with my SUV.
And bathe with half bucket water.
Yeah, which and has then one whole portion of biryani, which he could have, the quantum of water taken to create that rice, he could have had a bath for a month. So I always tell people, don't eat rice. When I travel by flight, I say, please don't eat rice, but please take a bath. You sit next to me, you know. So that's so you should know materiality of that. So Bobos. Second comes no-nos. Book by a lady called Naomi Klein. These are people who say that, and which is true to a certain extent, large conglomerates fucked Mother Earth. They got policies to themselves. They ripped us of all the resources. So I will not buy anything. So no to any branded stuff. All bad for designers. You will not get any branding project. You will not get, right? So no-nos is from Naomi Klein, right? And a lot of them in Europe, okay, who will only go to corner coffee shops, who will buy from unpackaged products. So it's not that they are small. Cultural Creatives, book by Paul Ray and Ruth. What does this say? Very interesting. These are the people who've changed the whole politics of India. These are people who are inward looking for their spirituality but are still outwardly social concerned. They are people who will stand up for social justice. This is the whole Anna Hazare, India against corruption people who stood up. There's a huge lot of us, right, who all went and said, I am against corruption, change the whole dispensation. Where we led is another debate for another day, but that's the whole idea. That's another core composition that you are getting. And the final and the largest category is called LOHAS. LOHA stands for Lifestyle of Health and Sustainability. All of us, right? Saffola, heart oil, organic, no oil, brown bread, right? Correct? Olive oil, freshly pressed, only raw pressed juices, okay? All of this is under LOHAS. And I don't know if this will play, but this is very interesting. Is there a volume on this or something gone wrong with the volume?
I recycled this metal off some old rims I had. You call that eco? Yes, I do. This tattoo right here, made out of soy ink. That's nothing. You know the hotel we staying at? You remember the hot tub, right? Oh, yeah. I filled it up with all women instead of water. Saved 150 gallons. 7 days, no shower. 276 gallons. Wow. That's impressive. That's nasty, man.
Right, so that's LOHAS. Market size. And growing. Correct? So, target audience has changed. The brief has changed also. What do you look at as designer? Permanence over obsolescence? Screws before glues. What does that mean? You should be able to repair it, you should be able to use it more. Glues means it's completely glued and you're going to have to throw it away, so you're not going to dispose it. Address scale. And final, learn sustainability. What is this? Do you know what these mean? If you don't, or if you want to, we have these books here which you can take. These are all free. You can please pass some of these on. There are lots of them here. Please someone can help and pass these on. What we've done is at Cognito, we wanted to de-jargonize sustainability. And to de-jargonize sustainability, what we've done is we've created an ABC and a long and short. And these are available to anybody who want as many of them. These have been, some of the paper has been donated by printer friends who had add-on printing. We've done, they are in Creative Commons. They are available for free download. And till date, we have done about, I think, 70,000 odd books all over the world, sent out to conferences and all, wherever people want to distribute them. Cognito takes the cost of having them door delivered to wherever you want. All you have to do is tell us whom you sent it to. You don't need to send us any proof, right? So if you want people to learn more about them, then these are all the kind of stuff that you'll find, right? So, okay. Last part, the important role of a visual communication designer. And it's not human being, we are mainly human visual beings. Why do I say this? What do you think Harry Potter, the book, bestseller, blockbuster, what did it get? 19.5. What is the movie? Gross. So why we know we are more visual beings. Right? Take a look at this. This will show you what visually you can do.
The world my father told me about 50 years ago was a divided world. It looked like this. Each bubble is a country. Size is population. Blue, Africa. Red, Asia. Yellow, Europe. And green, the Americas. Vertical is child mortality. From 30% of children dying before the age of 5 down to almost zero child death. Horizontal, number of babies born per woman, from 8 to less than 2. But most countries were up here. Women had 6 to 7 children. Child deaths were frequent. Almost every family lost 1 or more children. In many people's mind, the world still looks like this, developing and developed. But it's a myth, because the world has improved immensely in the last 50 years. Here we go. Year by year, child mortality fell in almost all countries. And as child mortality fell, women chose to have fewer and fewer babies. And that enabled them to invest more time and resources in each child. By 1990, some of the so-called developing countries had already made it down here. Some were in between. And a few remained up here with very high child mortality. Ethiopia had hardly moved at all. It had passed through decades of famines and political turmoil. Many people think that Ethiopia is still stuck up here. But look what happens after 1990. With improved access to health service in rural areas and well-spent aid, child mortality falls dramatically in Ethiopia. And with better access to family planning, women choose to have fewer and fewer babies. Ethiopia has come halfway and is moving quickly down to this point. But Ethiopia still faces many challenges. I will split the Ethiopian bubble. The capital, Addis Ababa, is already down here. But the remote Somali region of Ethiopia still have high child mortality. But most of the regions, 90% of the population, are centered around the average. Most people think that the problems in Africa are unsolvable. But if the poorest countries can just follow the path of Ethiopia, it's fully possible that the world will look like this in 2030. Then there will be no countries left in the box we once called the developing world. But to ensure that that happens, we must measure the progress of countries. It's only by measuring we can cross the river of myths.
Right, so how a visual designer can help you see a problem, right? And across all the triple bottom line, you see visual design making behavioral change. This is financial. Occupy Wall Street. You've seen these images, very powerful. Currently, you've seen all eyes on Rafa, and you've seen what is the power of that. Environmental, right? This was Nat Geo. Issues of plastic pollution, irresponsible disposal, social, right? Correct. So, final slide. You know how this ends, right? With great power